Part 1.
Well, Dad, it's great to see you again after so long. Thanks for inviting us here for dinner.
Not at all, John. The pleasure's all mine. I've been to this place once or twice, and I thought it would be ideal for our little get-together.
I've passed it a couple of times myself and thought of eating here. I must say, it's a lovely place. Let's have a look at the menu, shall we?
There's certainly a lot to choose from. I think I'll try the fish. It says here the fish is fresh every day.
I fancy a nice juicy steak.
Well, I'm going to go for the chicken. It's plain. All these fancy sauces are all right if you've got the stomach for them, but I can do without all the trimmings.
Shall I see if I can catch the waiter's eye then? If we're ready to order? Oh, what are we going to drink?
Well, actually, I ordered a bottle of champagne earlier. After all, this is a celebration. John, Sally, I've got something to tell you.
A celebration? What do you mean, Dad?
Something to tell us? Have you won some money?
Not money, but I do feel I've won something. Look, John, Sally, I don't see you two very often these days. You've both got such busy lives and careers here in London, and even though I only live 20 miles away, we're lucky to see each other once or twice a year. I know it was different when your mother was alive. Perhaps you thought it was at home then, but now you only come back as a duty, not because you want to.
That's not true, Dad. As you say, we have stressful jobs. You do know that since I got this promotion, I have to travel around the country at least 2 weeks every month. At weekends, all I want to do is relax at my flat. I don't want to travel anywhere, even if it's only 20 miles.
OK, Sally, just let Dad finish what he has to tell us.
Yes, well, the truth is, I've missed your mum a lot these past 5 years, and to be honest, I never thought I'd ever find someone to take her place. But I joined a club where people who feel lonely get together with, others in the same situation. I went with my friend Dave, my colleague at work.
I hope you aren't telling us you have a girlfriend at your age.
Not a girlfriend, a fiancée. I'm going to get married again.
What? How can you even think of it? No one could take Mum's place.
And you never even told us you were seeing someone.
Look, I know it's a shock, but I'm sure you'll like her. Her name's Marjorie. She's very kind and she cares for me. And she has 2 children, and they've given me a new lease of life.
So how old is this Marjorie?
She's 35, and the children are 10 and 8. She was widowed 5 years ago. Her husband died in an accident.
What will our friends think? She's just a couple of years older than us. They'll think you're making a fool of yourself.
I'm really sorry you feel this way. I never thought you'd worry more about your friends' reactions than my happiness. But you're both invited to the wedding. It's next Saturday.
Don't expect me there. I, for one, will never accept this marriage.
Well, I have to tell you something else. We want a fresh start for the 4 of us. So next month we're emigrating to Australia. We think it'll be a good place to bring up the children.
What?
Dad, how could you?
Part 2.
It's a long way from cooking dinner every day for the family to preparing 500,000 meals a week in a purpose-built £5 million factory of your own design. But Anita Lee has made the jump in just a few years. The Chinese meals she used to make for her husband David and 2 young daughters are now enjoyed in millions of homes all over Britain. It's not something that's easily done, so where did she start and why?
I started making my own Chinese food because I didn't like what I could buy. The Chinese meals I bought in the supermarket didn't taste like Chinese food to me, and they were nothing like my mother's cooking back home in Hong Kong. Even meals from the local Chinese restaurants seemed to have been adapted to suit English tastes. So I looked around for proper Chinese ingredients and cooked for myself. And when I cooked for my family and friends, they all said how much better things tasted and how much they enjoyed them.
Well, many of us are good cooks at home, but that doesn't make you Businesswoman of the Year overnight. So, what was so special about your cooking that made it so enormously successful?
Oh, one of our friends owned the local Chinese restaurant, and whenever he visited our house, he liked my homemade noodles so much that he wanted to use them in the restaurant. They were a big success and encouraged me to try out other things for him, like sweet and sour sauce and crackers. He always had trouble getting good cooks, and even more trouble keeping them, so he liked to buy in the sauces ready-made. He liked the arrangement and so did I. Anyway, I started taking on people to help. And then I took a unit on an industrial estate in Cowbridge to cope with the demand. It all grew from that, really.
As easy as boiling an egg. But in fact, it wasn't always plain sailing for you, was it?
Strangely enough, we had trouble when the company became really successful. Gourmet magazine had given us its top prize for ethnic cuisine, and contracts were coming in from all the big supermarket chains. We needed to expand, but didn't really have the capital to do it. I was reluctant to go to the bank for a loan, and Lanier Foods came along and offered us the funds we needed. It seemed too good to be true.
And it was, wasn't it?
Sorry?
Too good to be true.
Oh, yes it was. You see, at first it seemed that Lanier Foods was willing to provide the necessary funds and be seen as an equal partner. But then, very soon, they tried to take over control of the company. They even wanted to alter the food production, change some of the ingredients in the recipes, things like that.
Nasty.
Yes, that time was like a living nightmare. I really had to fight to protect my products and the business I'd struggled to build up. Luckily, I had a very loyal workforce who backed me all the way. I eventually managed to get a bank loan, but I also had to sell my house to afford to buy out Lanier Foods. It took a whole year, but at least I got my company back. By then, our sales had skyrocketed, and they continued to do so for the next 5 years. I was able to pay back the loan, buy an even bigger house, then I became Businesswoman of the Year. That was my proudest moment. It made all the hard work worthwhile.
Part 3.
I say, waiter, we're ready to order.
Not so loud, darling. People are looking.
Ah, there you are. What kept you, Joel?
Just a little mix-up with one of the other orders, sir.
I'm not surprised. I don't know who wrote this load of nonsense, but it's all Greek to me.
Darling, it's perfectly plain and obvious. I've just explained it. You choose a starter from list A, a main course from list B, and dessert from list C, and the prices are all colour-coded.
Well, what if I wanted 2 starters?
I'd have to ask the manager about that, sir, and I don't think he'd be too happy.
No, there's no need for that, Joel. We'll just order one of everything, as my wife said.
Well, do you know what you'd like, sir?
Well, my wife will have the garlic mushrooms and a T-bone steak well done on both sides, and...
Sorry, sir, you have to give me the numbers. You see, the garlic mushrooms are A36 up here.
Oh, I see. Well, you could try writing the numbers a bit more clearly. Can you deal with this, dear? I've left my reading glasses in the car.
Uh-huh. Now, where were we? Oh, yes. We'll have 1 A36, 1 B7, and 1 C15. And my husband will have A12, B3... Oh, hang on. Did you want to ask about the quiche, dear?
Oh, yes. Does the quiche contain animal fat, Joel?
I've never really thought about that. I used to be a vegetarian, but I eat almost everything now.
I'm sure the quiche is fine, dear. We'll have 1 B3, Joel.
It's Joel, actually. You don't pronounce the E.
I could go for something else. Can you see anything, dear?
Oh, sorry. Yes. There's a nut roast, number B33, and it's with lemon sauce. Sounds nice.
Lemon sauce? That's a bit odd. Is it any good, Joel?
I don't know, sir. I don't eat nuts myself. They don't agree with my digestion.
I wasn't asking about you, Joel. I just wanted to know if it's popular.
Ah, it's one of our most popular dishes, sir.
OK, then. Nut roast and lemon B33 and 1 banana split.
That's C11.
Thank you, dear. And don't forget the extra cream.
I'm sorry, sir, but all our meals are assembled in advance, and nothing extra can be added or removed.
What kind of restaurant is this?
Ivan, calm down. He's doing his best.
Will that be all, then?
Suppose it'll have to be.
Well, if you'll wait just 1.5 minutes, I'll bring you your food.
My word. That's very efficient. Even the officers' canteen in Stabroek isn't that fast. It just shows what a bit of organisation.
Part 4.
We have with us today the psychologist Simon Calvin, who has recently created quite a stir with some rather unlikely claims about astrology. Simon, are you indeed claiming that our lives are ruled by the stars?
No, not at all. I would not for 1 minute say that all of our lives are affected by the movements of stars in the heavens. My research really concerns things that are far more down to earth. But before I start, I should just say that by no means do the majority of people in general totally disbelieve the value of astrology. An incredible 62% of British adults say that their stars are of some interest to them, although only 3.5% would use them to choose a husband or wife, and only 2.9% of people would refer to them in making business decisions. But anyway, coming back to what I said before, I'm not so interested in the stars themselves as I am in the time of year somebody is born. Psychologists now widely agree that both early life experiences and time of birth are a great influence on the development of a person's character. Of course, this does not make the whole of a person's character, but rather the foundation or base on which later changes are made. However, these later changes in character are not connected with the person's time of birth. So, the question is then, after all these personality changes have happened, can we look at an adult and see any of this foundation or base as part of their psychological makeup? The technique I have been using to do just this is a very simple one, but I believe very effective. I have simply made a statistical comparison between people's choice of career and their zodiac sign. Where somebody has made a strong choice in favour of a particular kind of career, I believe that this indicates something very important in their character. If you look at a particular profession, say entertainers, for example, and find that more than 15% of them were born in a certain short period of the year, it suggests that their choice of that profession is in some way connected with their birth at that particular time of the year. And this is in fact the case. An astonishing 20% of artists and entertainers were born in the period between the 12th of July and the 20th of August. This, in fact, is the most positive connection we have found so far. But there have been others, although they have been less obvious. We looked at keen sports players participating more than 5 times a week, and found a sizable number were born in the winter months of January and February. Another group of people we looked at were frequent travellers, who, we discovered, were more likely to have been born in early spring, while accountants, bankers, executives, and people generally in financial professions more frequently have birthdays in the late spring. Now, so far, we haven't found any professions containing large percentages of one particular star sign, which is a little disappointing. But this is no doubt because our modern technological world has removed us further and further from the effects of nature. If, as was the case in the past, many people lived closer to nature, we could be seeing percentages as high as 40 or 50 or even more. This, of course, would mean that we would have to